Hey everyone, and welcome to the Atomic Cinema Experiment, the Ace. I am Peter, and joining me as always is easily the co-host on MailFuzz TV with the biggest personality, it's Tara.
Great, now I have to live up to that. Greetings, citizens.
I was going to go with biggest temper. I thought, no, that's a bit mean. I don't know why I'm saying biggest temper. She's giving me no reason to say she's an angry person. I'll go with something nicer. I'm not an angry person as I grit my teeth and look ready my fist. All right, we are a science fiction movie podcast. Every week we get together, we talk about a science fiction film, and this week we actually altered the schedule a little bit because we realized that we'd kind of hit a very prominent time in the calendar because we hit November 2019. And why is November 2019 special? November 2019 is special because that is the month in which Blade Runner is set. And that's pretty cool. It's a shame we weren't in existence back in 2015 when we hit the Back to the Future 2 date, because that would have been a great excuse to do those. But hey ho, we're here now. We can do Blade Runner, and we're going to talk about, we'll start spoiler free as we always do. We'll give you a warning somewhere in the middle before we go into spoilers, and we're going to get into it. So this is Ridley Scott's film from 1982. It is a cyberpunk story set in a futuristic Los Angeles. In fact, the aforementioned 2019 November. Clearly, of course, they were thinking things would maybe a little bit different by then. We'd have flying cars and all sorts. We'll have a little discussion about that, actually, just how different 2019 in this movie is versus 2019 in the real world. But
I mean, we'll have to talk about something. What else is there to talk about in Blade Runner? Boring. Just kidding.
Are you kidding? I'm not sure if you are kidding. I know your opinion on Blade Runner.
There's a lot of meat in the film.
There's a lot of meat, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Vegan meat.
Vegan meat.
It's a noodle-heavy film.
Noodle-heavy film, yes. There definitely. There's, I believe if you watch the making of documentary, the big giant one that's on the second disc of the set, like at one point it's talking about how Ridley Scott was taking a long time to film stuff, and there's that shot right at the start of the movie where Harrison Ford's getting like a bowl of noodles, and there's a close-up of the plate of noodles, like, you know, being put on the counter. Like, if you're watching the making of documentary, they're complaining that Ridley Scott would like too many takes, and as they're explaining this, it shows you like 45 takes of that bowl of noodles hitting the counter, and I'm like, these all look the exact same.
Mr. Perfectionist.
I know. So, hell, I've made some student films. I remember people getting annoyed at me after take 3. Like, wasn't that fine? Like we'll do one more for safety, okay? Just one more.
I know. I often get frustrated by how many times we have to do these reviews before you're satisfied.
Yeah, this is take 17 for the record. So, yes, the film is about replicants, which are, you know, Blade Runner's version of androids or artificial life or whatever you want to call them, and they are illegal on Earth. They're in the off-world colonies, as we hear about throughout the film. And Blade Runners are basically specialized cops who hunt down replicants who are on Earth and basically assassinate them. And that is what they do. There's a group of rogue replicants on Earth, and Deckard, played by Harrison Ford, is brought back into the fold to go hunting them after they already killed the previous Blade Runner, because Harrison Ford's supposed to be retired, but he gets pulled back out of the Force one more time, as is always the case. And we have a neo-noir cyberpunk science fiction extravaganza that is beloved by many, is one of the most prolific science fiction films of all time. People have written books about it. Obviously, famously did not do so well financially or critically when it was released, but has gained a massive cult following since, to the point where it got a big sequel just 2 years ago. I'm sure we'll get to that as well in the near future. But with all that said, Tara, what do you think of Blade Runner?
It's a little dull.
Choosing your words very carefully there. I noticed just a moment of hesitation where you're like, I'll phrase this diplomatically.
I think right off the bat, I could say that the world is a spectacle, and it is truly like beautiful and gross and engaging. Like I like all the world building in this film a lot. And I think it sets, it's cyberpunk. It might be like one of the first cyberpunk, or at least what we know, what we expect from cyberpunk now. Like the video game that's coming out looks like it's set in Blade Runner.
Yeah.
And I really truly love the way the movie looks. As far as a story goes, it's either boring or like I don't care about the characters very much. I actually don't really like Decker. The only person I kind of like is used as like just a punching bag. And I don't really think it's a masterpiece just on its looks alone, unfortunately. But there's a lot in there that's good. I feel very similar about another I said it wrong, but another Ridley Scott movie, which is Prometheus, which is I really like everything I'm looking at, but for some reason I am so bored while watching it. And I know I'm supposed to be rooting for these people, but I don't care if they succeed or live.
Yeah, here's the thing. So people who are long-time fans of Male Plus TV content won't actually be surprised to hear how I feel, because me and Connor actually talked about Blade Runner a couple of years ago, I think just before 2049 came. This is the first time on the Ace we're actually doing something that we already did on 121 at some point, and that'll happen occasionally because there's some sci-fi movies that we have to do.
I also rewatched the film before the sequel came out, and I think it really says a lot about the movie that the director couldn't even stick to his original film. Like he had to come out with multiple different versions of it. I don't think he's confident in the film as well. I think people who really love this movie see something that's not there.
I'll stick up for something you just said there a second ago, just in the sense that the first cut of the film was, I wouldn't say it wasn't that he was not confident in it. It was more that it was taken from him, and they added a lot of things he didn't like. So, if you want to complain that he went to the final cut after the director's cut, sure, he's tinkered with it again there. But I don't think him doing the director's cut after the theatrical cut is actually anything other than just wanting to fix what the studio forced upon it, which was the sappy happy ending and the narration, which even Harrison Ford hated. And if you listen to that theatrical cut's audio, he sounds bored as he's like narrating because he thinks it's pointless.
He sounds like
and stupid.
Current day Harrison Ford.
Yeah, he's just describing things that you get from the movie anyway. It's really, really bad. We both watched the final cut for this review.
Yep, that's what I watched.
That's correct. I was just waiting for you to confirm it, just in case you're like, oh no, I watched the work print cut or something. But no, I'm actually in a very similar boat. I think it looks and sounds amazing. I think on a technical level, this movie, if the story of this movie and the characters of this movie lived up to how it looked, this might be in my top 5 of all time. It might actually be in ridiculous heights. There's a monologue from the end of the movie, which we'll get to in spoilers, but it's one of the most famous monologues in movie history. And if the rest of the movie was up to the standard of that monologue, if the movie that monologue belongs in was this movie, this movie would probably be a 10 out of 10 masterpiece that would be up there with some of the best things, because Ridley Scott's done it. Alien is one of the best science fiction movies of all time. It's up there. It's wonderful.
Can you imagine like being around when Alien came out and seeing that in theaters and going, this is a masterpiece, and the director, his next film is going to be another science fiction film? Like, sign me up. And sitting there and watching it and going, oh no. I think I just described how my dad felt.
On the upside,
Alien
though,
is his favorite movie of all time, and then going to see Blade Runner, he never showed that to us as kids.
On the upside though, if you saw Alien and then you saw Terminator, you love Terminator as well, and you were sort of looking forward to Aliens as both the second James Cameron movie but also the next Alien movie, Aliens might be the biggest payday as a movie fan anyone's ever had. So there was good things to be had in the 80s. Let's not say otherwise, because fine decade for the motion picture.
I would never say otherwise.
Yes. We are both products of the 80s. Therefore, 80s is clearly the best decade.
They don't need to know that.
What, you want to pretend we're both born in the 90s? We're both. Oh,
we can admit it entirely. You know, I've had professors in school that I never knew what their first name was, and I respect them the most. So, we should just be this omnipresent voice from up above on your television screen or cell phone or podcast.
Yeah, guys, I'm sorry. I've been making all these jokes over the past like 30 episodes about Tara being older than me. That's actually a bold-faced lie. Tara's actually 19, and you know, I'm sorry that I've implied otherwise. She was born in the year 2000. Oh my god, people who were born in 2000 are 19 now. Oh Jesus Christ.
About to be 20.
Oh, that hurts. That hurts my soul.
Mm-hmm.
Little shits. Anyway, so Blade Runner, I think, is a wonderful looking film. It's a wonderful sounding film. The music by Vangelis, if I'm saying that right, are very, very good. The visuals, the miniatures of the city. What are you shaking your head at?
I don't really like the music. I really don't.
Well, that's fair, but
I thought that a lot of the scenes were confusing, the music choice. I like the idea of it being very, because the world, like the world that we see that Decker lives in and is always in, is like this very futuristic culture clash where everything is like everything, like you see like every bit of the world in one place, and the music kind of reflects that, and sometimes it goes into noir. But there are some really key scenes here where the music's telling you you're watching one thing and you're not. You're watching something else, and I don't care for that.
I mean, I agree on those specific scenes, but like I think generally the music sounds really good. Like I think it, you know, for all the big moments, it's fantastic. You know, the opening, for example, like the opening 5-10 minutes of this are great. It's Joe when the movie goes south, right? I think for us, I'm going to assume you kind of feel similar to me here. Is see when it actually like the investigation starts after Deckard's been like, you know, brought on board. As soon as he's actually looking into the replicants and checking crime scenes and looking at crime photos, oh my god, the photos, like. Then it becomes a slog. It becomes a sleep-inducing, like, journey.
The last half is really tough to get through until you get to like the last maybe 15-20 minutes of the film. But
the final fight's good. The final fight is just
the final fight's good. Yeah. And I like the way it ends in this version of the film. But there is a good like 45 minutes where I'm just like, what's going on my phone right now?
Yeah.
Check my emails.
The one thing I remember saying the last time I talked about this is that the biggest problem with this film is that the actual investigation, the case, the actual job he's doing is the most boring, dull, uninteresting, like, you know, mess of scenes ever. Like, he's just doing really mundane things that isn't interesting to watch. It's not engaging. It's not... You know, it's just him talking to people, and he mumble. And I love Harrison Ford, but he spends a lot of this movie mumbling, and it's not, you know, it's hard to really get engaged with the character on a level.
Yeah.
I just, and it's not that I want it to be an action movie. It can be a slow, moody film. Like I love lots of slow, moody films.
I like noir.
I just the way this is written just isn't that interesting to me. And like you say, you have the problem as well of maybe not necessarily caring about him all that much. I'll tell you the other thing I don't like in this movie: the romance between Deckard and what's her face? I've forgotten her name already. 1 second. Rachel.
Rachel. I can't believe I forgot.
Rachel.
I literally just watched it.
Rachel. I'm doing Christian Bale, Batman.
I couldn't place it. I don't remember John Hammond saying Rachel. It's the only voice I hear.
Run from the T-Rex! Do it now! I don't know. Also, I was an Arnold in a Scottish accent. Maybe that'll be entertaining.
We shall see.
Give me
Maybe it's the next tier.
give me a close your boots in your motorcycle.
No, we could definitely not make an episode around that.
Oh, anyway, what was I saying? Rachel, yes, the romance, love interest. They have zero chemistry. I don't care about the romance whatsoever. It's force fed down our throats. There's nothing here. It's dead, Jim. She can't take it.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, we'll go into in spoilers, but it's a little, I want to say problematic. It's not that this type of romance should not be in film, like if it's important to the story, but if you want me to like Decker, he really makes a difficult case with the romance
I'm
scenes.
going to correct this now before this goes too far. His name is Deckard. There's a D at the end.
Oh, thank you. Deckard.
This is
Like
Rod.
Deckard Cain from Diablo 3.
Yeah, this is Rod Sterling all over again.
Whatever, he mumbles. I can be forgiven.
Oh dear. Yeah, you keep saying Decker, and I keep thinking of Black and Decker, the drills and
Well, I'm glad you
power
corrected
tools.
me because people would be very upset.
Yes, there would. Yeah, there would be comments. So I'm doing it now, fairly early on. So
Yes. So everybody delete the comment that you already read.
yes, delete it right now. So the romance just it's basically made up of like 2 or 3 scenes. There's not a lot to it, and the frustrating part of this movie for me is that all of the IDs that it's playing with are like all things I love. This idea of like should replicants, because the whole motivation for the replicants is that they've been built with this 4-year lifespan. Like they intentionally like give them a life expectancy of 4 years. They'll die basically just by default after 4 years because they realize that if they're alive too long, they might learn too much and revolt because they'll become too self-aware. And that's what's happened here with these replicants, is they are self-aware, they are fighting for themselves, they're basically fighting to maybe try and extend their life. And it's like, as much as they're kind of villainous in how they go about things, they're actually the sympathetic ones. They're like, no, they're right.
Definitely.
they're intelligent
they
life.
describe themselves as slaves. That's exactly what they are.
Yeah.
Can you imagine like being alive with God, your creator, like on Earth with you, that you can like know exists and can like go talk to if you wanted to? Like that's, some big ideas that you can work with too. And I think the movie does a fairly good job with that. I could have used a little bit more just because I think it would have been, I just need something that's a little bit more interesting.
And he did more Rutger Hauer. I feel like he's only in like 3 or 4 scenes.
Yeah, he's definitely underused.
He needs to be like there throughout the whole movie. We need to see his entire journey. So it's in.
Yeah, I'll just say I don't like Daryl Hannah in it. I think we have too much of her, and I don't care about her character at all.
Yeah, Press. Yeah, I'm not particularly fond of her either.
All those scenes like do nothing for me.
And I also thought that like it would have been more interesting if she actually cared about Sebastian, who's like this one of the like engineers they go to see, who she kind of charms a little bit, and we know that that's part of her programming because it says she was like a seductress or something like that. She
kind of comes off as like Harley Quinn in a way, where she's just a little bit mad and it is like excited about killing and not really. She doesn't seem to have the same goal as Rutger Hauer, which is the whole reason they're there. And I think that's just poor writing.
Yes, and yeah, I don't really like Sean Young as Rachel again. I think Harrison Ford has the benefit of me liking him in a lot of other movies, so I kind of like I don't think of being mad at him as I'm watching this, even though I do think he mumbles a lot in this. But like those two are both so low energy that again the romance is just like both of them feel like they want nothing to do with each other, and yet the movie's telling me there's romance.
I really love the scene where she first enters. I think she's quite like bewitching in a way. Like I love her look, and I think she does fit in like in this world, in this cyberpunk noir. She is very much the woman who comes to the private investigator to say like something's wrong and I need your help. But the romance really, really fails. But I do like Rachel. I just don't like what she's used for ultimately.
Again, for me, it comes back to the ideas with Rachel's fine, but I don't think I actually like the execution of almost anything she does in the movie. Like her realization that she's a replicant, which I don't think is that much of a spoiler because we know that like very
We're not
quickly.
in spoilers yet, yeah.
Yeah, but like the realization for her that she's a replicant isn't like, I don't know, like I feel like it should be more. Like this should be a bigger moment in the movie where she is hit with this truth, and it's just such a low key scene. That I don't know.
I mean, really, you can make the whole movie like around this plot, more so than the other stuff.
Yeah, no,
And
I mean,
her fighting for her survival,
it could be replicant hunter, Blade Runner falls for replicant, and the moral quandary that kind of like comes in with that could be a whole movie on its own. Like the hunting of the other replicants could also just kind of be its own movie on its own.
Yeah.
But there's so much time in this that's just wasted with, like, I mean, let's talk about.
It kind of comes off as a waste of time after you watch it.
Oh, let's talk about the photograph analysis scene, because if we're talking about wasting time.
Yeah, I mean, this is like this is sort of a classic thing that people make fun of in the movie, right?
In this movie?
Oh yeah, like it's not the fault of just this film. This might be the earliest, case of breaking the rules of optics and physics.
Yeah, but you said they made fun of it in this movie. What do you mean by that?
No, like this film gets made fun of because of this.
Oh, sure,
scene
yeah,
a lot.
okay. I know what you mean, yeah.
Yeah.
No, you made it sound like they were poking fun at it in the movie, and I'm like, I don't get that. It was taking itself dead seriously.
Sometimes my brain like disconnects from my mouth, and I still try to finish a thought. So it makes me such a great host.
Hashtag still better than Connor. So no, he sits there and he's got this photograph that they've collected from like a crime scene, and he's doing the classic thing that now we associate this with CSI and like shows like that, where he just sits there and says, but it's almost even more boring in this, because he actually says like, vector blah 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 to number 4567 blah blah blah, and he's like enhance. And this scene is like 5 minutes long of him just zooming in on a photograph and eventually getting a crystal clear image of like this woman in the photo.
Mm-hmm. That was like a pixel.
That's not how pixels work. It's
Right. That's not how magnification works. If you just have a photograph, like maybe a digital photograph, if this is some kind of future technology.
Yeah, if it's like,
but it's not. It's just a piece of paper with a picture on it. So
if it's like 90K resolution or something like that, maybe I'll buy that you can go into it and get. Although
maybe they have flying cars, although they're everything we see from their televisions or satellite signals are pretty messy. It's like
pretty
16-bit.
Yeah. So I will say this though, if this scene existing is what got me one of my favourite scenes in Community, then I will give it a pass. The scene of which I am referring to is where Pierce is trying to figure out what's going on behind some hedges that he's not been invited to, and there's a secret trampoline. That's what's going on. But the point is in this scene, he's got his other buddy. I think his name is Leonard, and it's these two old guys, because Pierce is Chevy Chase, for the record, old man Chevy Chase, and they've got a drone so they can fly it in and take photos, right? So they can look at whatever's going on. And there's a shot of them. They're sitting at a computer and like enhance, and then it cuts to the screen, and all they've done is zoom in on the instructions to figure out how the drone works, and they've just got the text like really, really big. And I don't know, I love that joke.
Sure, like Well, yeah, that's just not how magnification works but if it did, all telescopes would be like this size, but they're not. They have to be the size of buildings in order to be able to see deep into space, because every time you magnify something, it loses um, quality and it loses light.
Mm.
Everything gets dimmer and dimmer. So eventually you're going to get like zooming in on a photograph makes it worse, not clear. It's pretty dumb.
Yeah.
Unless you have some kind of future programming. Although we do know in this universe that you can magnify something to the scale of, I don't know, beyond micro or macroscopic. I don't know. Like it's because you have to be able to read digital codes on like cells even in this film. So that's established. So maybe we can get away with it, but it just comes off as bad.
Yeah, but the photograph in question is literally a photograph that you'd have developed at Kodak, like, in the 80s.
Yeah.
So it's one of those.
Right. That is the issue.
Yeah. So, yeah, not quite buying it. Not quite buying it, but hey. So, yeah, in terms of spoiler-free stuff, like, the movie... I wish I loved this. I do, and I want this to be clear. I really want to make this clear. Is that the first time I watched this, it is one of the most disappointing movies of the past I've ever watched, because it's on paper. I hear the name Blade Runner. That sounds good. Harrison Ford,
Starring
Ridley
Harrison Ford.
Scott. Science fiction, cyberpunk. Like, I see the poster, and
A lot of people who I respect like have this really, really high on their list, and like
Yeah.
film critics that I respect. And I'm like, I should really check this out. But I had a very similar experience.
And I've tried it more, and I've shot up once or twice. I think the second or third time I saw it, I actually kind of improved for me a little bit, and I think that was the first time I saw it on Blu-ray, and maybe it was just like the visuals at that resolution.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
It was like, oh, maybe
the world is like without a doubt spectacular.
This is much better than I thought it was. And then when I watched it again before 2049 a couple of years ago, my opinion went back down, and I was like, you know what? I'm not into this. It's kind of dull.
Yeah, you really have to try to like talk yourself into liking it.
Yeah. I like on paper, I should freaking love this, and it's just really
Feel the same way
sleep-inducing.
about Prometheus.
I mean,
Ridley
Prometheus.
Scott just can do that sometimes with films. Just like all the ingredients are there, and I'll watch it, and I watch it a few times thinking I should like this. Why don't I like this? But it falls flat, man.
Yeah, I
It's
don't.
flat.
This is the thing, though. I don't necessarily blame Ridley Scott for these problems largely.
But we know he can make masterpieces,
No,
right?
but you
Like,
can't. No, but what's the difference here? The difference is a
and he
good.
makes stuff
No, but
like
here's the thing.
recently he made The Martian and Prometheus like just a few years apart.
Yeah, but Tara,
And
what
The
is the?
Martian's wonderful.
No, but Tara, what's the difference? You just said yourself, Prometheus looks good, Blade Runner looks good. They are well-directed movies. What is the difference? The difference is the script. If you hand Ridley Scott a good script, he goes away and makes you gold.
Yeah.
If you hand him the script for Prometheus, he goes away and makes Prometheus. Like, it's really that simple. It's a good script. He's a good visual director. You give him a good script, he'll go away and make a good movie. This is not him. Like, maybe in some level, because, I mean, obviously he's not good at picking scripts, because if he was, then this wouldn't be an issue. But he doesn't write his own scripts,
Yeah.
at least not normally. He's not a writer, he's a director, and that's it. So,
Well, I mean, he has a lot to do with Blade Runner though, with the script. Doesn't he? Because he has 3 different versions of the film.
but he's not a writer, though. He didn't write the script.
No, I guess not, but like
He didn't write it. He didn't develop the plot. He did not put the what the events were on paper. Like, that wasn't him.
well, yeah, but when he makes the film, the theatrical cut which has all the additional narration and
Which he
the
didn't
happy
want.
ending in it, like
Which he,
that's not something that he would do.
no, he didn't want
He's
any of
still
that.
good.
He was
Okay.
that was forcibly added in, which is why he was desperate to take it out the first chance he got.
All right. I don't know. Well, the script writer didn't even write the best scenes anyway. It was all improvised.
Yeah, true. That's true. But I mean, that's the key thing. I've said this for years about Ridley Scott, is that if you give him a good script, or even a simple script, like Alien's not necessarily a great script. At least the original script wasn't. I think maybe some other writers cleaned it up. But Alien's just so simple. And you give Ridley Scott a simple movie, he'll just go away and make it beautiful, and it'll probably be amazing. But you give him a weaker script like Blade Runner or Prometheus. I mean, the one thing
that Egyptian one with Christian Bale.
Oh god, I didn't see it, but yeah, it was probably terrible.
I didn't see that either.
I mean, maybe he had story input on Alien Covenant, but I mean that's not a sign of anything.
I didn't see it.
Oh,
I hate Prometheus so much.
Well, you're going to.
I don't hate it, like, I didn't hate it right away, but I hate it more because I'm always like, really? You like that movie? And I always have to, like, I don't know.
Tara, you're going to
I'm always
see
just like,
Alien
please
Covenant.
convince me why. And then I can't, it doesn't work. And then I think it's because I'm always on the opposite end of people, with the exception of yourself, when it comes to that film, that I just hate it more because I can't understand why people like it so much.
Oh, you're done. Tara, you're going to see Alien Covenant at some point. It's going to happen in the show. I said that somewhere in the middle of all that when I thought you'd done, but you just kept going.
You know how I do.
What impresses me, though, I know there's a delay, but what impresses me is that you somehow just don't hear that I said anything at all at any point.
I just assumed it wasn't important. I just keep going. I don't hear you because I have to keep the volume low since I don't wear headphones. Because it messes with my hair.
Yes, that beautiful, beautiful hair that you cannot alter or blemish in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, gotta keep my image.
Mm-hmm. So we will move on to spoilers then. Spoilers for Blade Runner. Before we start the spoiler section, though, Tara's going to tell you all about Patreon.com.
Why, sure. If you like what we do, and you want to get more of this, you can check out our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/MildFuzzTV. And donating as low as $1 per month gets you bonus episodes of The Ace. You can check out movies like the first Judge Dredd or Time Cop, the Transfer series we're working through. There's some other gems on there. Mm-hmm. And that's not just for The Ace. You can get bonus episodes that Screams After Midnight. You get a bunch of our tangents that get cut for time on there as well. So yeah, check it out. There's a ton of bonus features. It's always being updated. The
recent episode of Meet the Robinsons had 40 minutes of cut material that went on Patreon, so, you know.
Oh, that was gold.
It was a mixture of content. We had a conversation about skyscrapers, about Coca-Cola Christmas adverts. There was a bit of HR Giger in there, since we brought up Alien already.
Sometimes I think that Peter leads us down a tangent just so he can put stuff on the bonus. So.
No, I think you'll find that I lead us down a tangent in a movie like Meet the Robinsons where I've got nothing to say about the movie. I think that's what you'll find.
I like that movie.
I know you did. But hey, we're here. So Blade Runner. And
it was legitimately a time travel film. For the whole family.
As opposed to the illegitimate time travel films we've been watching?
It was a legitimate one. Like, it should be considered for our top 10 list one day.
So.
All right, Mr. High Horse, Peter.
Oh, yeah. Look at a high horse.
There you are again.
Oh, dear. All things considered, that episode turned out alright, actually. Not the best film critique in the world, but I think for us bickering, it was pretty solid. So, for Blade Runner, spoilers then, movie begins with the famous shot of the eye, the fire on top of the buildings, the giant pyramid-esque designs for the big buildings that are in the middle.
I miss cigarettes. We should bring them back.
I agree. What is a ziggurat? Define ziggurat, please.
I only know it because of Warcraft. No. Yeah, it's Warcraft. When you play as the undead in Warcraft 3 and you have to build more ziggurats because they keep saying, build more ziggurats in order to get more undead creatures. But yeah, they're like pyramids.
Okay.
The pyramid design.
Okay. And we
Did
get
you need me to explain it for your sake?
yes, because I didn't know what ziggurat was.
Yeah, it's like a tomb, but a fancy triangular shaped building
So
with stairs.
the first real scene of the movie is the first Blade Runner interrogating Brian James's character, Leon. We get this test to do to check if they're a replicant, and he's very kind of like aggressive and doesn't really answer questions properly, kind of constantly like bickers in and chimes in with like non-answers and things like that. And then of course as soon as like the Blade Runner can see in the test that he's a replicant, we don't really know what he's seeing yet, but he just looks worried, and then immediately Leon stands up and shoots him all the way through a wall.
Yeah.
And I think this first scene is maybe a sign that like the set design on this movie are just going to do whatever they want so it looks cool. They're not going to think about the why too much. Like, why is there a big fan right there? It's just because it looks cool.
Well, it looks very like film noir.
Yeah,
Looks very from that time.
that's true. It does have a very noir kind of feel to it. This scene in particular.
Yeah.
So
The interrogation also has a bit of Alphaville in it.
a little bit Alphaville.
Yeah. The interrogation scene of the computer. I see it.
A little bit. I'm not going to argue with you, but that review's technically not went up yet. You'll get that next week. So
Find out what we think.
yes,
Next
Alphaville next week. We recorded it already because we decided to slot Blade Runner in before it because we wanted to get Blade Runner out in November. Because that's the whole point. It's November 2019,
Yeah,
baby.
sorry if you're disappointed, but it'll be here next week. Same bad time, same bad channel.
Yeah, man. I hope I'm positive on a movie after Alphaville because I'm in a little streak here of movies that I'm like,
Don't spoil what your review is.
it's critically acclaimed, but meh. This is meh.
Well, I don't remember. Oh, I do remember what we're doing next. Yeah, I think you'll be okay.
No. Yeah, next time I think we'll be fine. Yeah. Yes. So we cut to Deckard. We get a nice big shot of the city. We get the advertisements. Enjoy life in an off-world colony. Start a new life, all that stuff. The big Atari logo, Coca-Cola adverts in the sky. It's basically just Shanghai. A few years before Shanghai looked like this, but we get introduced to Deckard, and he's basically roped in. Edward James Olmos, his small part gaff, takes him in to the captain, who's like, "Nah, I need you back. I need the Blade Runner, Deckard. I need you."
Yeah. He's a cop, but he's like super pimped out for some reason.
Yeah, because this police station is actually a train station by the looks of it.
Yeah. Maybe they're undercover.
At the station?
I don't know.
But we get the info dump here. We get here's the 4 replicants you're after. Here's and it's funny actually, 'cause I remember a couple of years ago, people were celebrating the dates because it has all their birthdays on it, like when they were created, and it's like July something 2016. So I remember like over 2016, 2017, there was a few days where people were saying, "Hey, it's this Blade Runner replicant's birthday." That was a thing for a little while. It's just funny though,
This
because
movie has its fans.
yeah, but between this and like Back to the Future 2, we're really hitting a time period now where a lot of the future dates in movies are starting to pop up.
People really had high expectations for this year,
They really did.
for this like time.
Yeah.
We are very far behind,
Yes.
but I think for good reason.
We'll be long dead by the time we get to Star Trek time, so we'll never know if that was accurate. Oh. But at least you won't have the disappointment of it not living up to it.
We have to go through World War III first, and
That's right.
I'm afraid we'll probably be around for that part, and not for the ultimate peace afterward.
Although, if I recall, World War III from the original series, when they mentioned it, was meant to be in the 90s, if I recall correctly.
Yes.
So we've already passed it. we got through the 90s without World War
Oh, a
Three.
few. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah, that's just really. It's really funny to me that like. Even from the time I was born, like the time I was old enough to appreciate an episode of Star Trek, if I'd watched it as a kid, like it was already too late for that reference to the 90s having World War Three.
What was the 90s? Kuwait? I guess. That was our World War? Yeah. I mean, unless you lived there, it wasn't so bad.
So, yes, where was I? Yeah, so Deckard's, goes to the crime scene. He gets the photographs. This is the apartment in which Leon was staying. After that, we get Leon again, but we get him with Roy, with Rutger Hauer's character, and they go to the guy who makes the eyeballs for the replicants. And this is the thing, like their scenes basically amount to go to this guy. Okay, we need to get to who can extend our life, who would know how to like reprogram us so that we can live for longer. It's like, well, it'd have to be the boss, Tyrell, like head of the company. It had to be him. And he's like, well, how can we get to him? Well, I can't get you to him, but maybe this Sebastian can. Is like, okay, so he kills him brutally. And that leads them to Sebastian, which they use Priest to kind of like sort of sweet talk their way in, and he gets them to Tyrell later in the movie, and they have their big scene where he's like, yeah, I can't like make you live longer, like nothing will save you, like that's it. But hey, a light that burns twice as bright, burns half as long. So, you had a good run, and. And I guess in a lot of ways that's what kind of makes Roy really dangerous, is that by that point on he knows he can't be saved. So it's like, well, he has nothing to lose. Like he has nothing to hold back for. But yeah, so Deckard meets Rachel and Tyrell at the Tyrell building and gives her the test. And this really plants the seed for the twist, which is in this version of the film and is definitely the intention of Ridley Scott, is that she's a replicant who does not know she's a replicant, and that her memories of childhood are all fake. She's actually, maybe a few months old. I don't know if it said specifically how old she is, but the memories are fake. And this is important because that makes us go, well, if she doesn't know she's a replicant and she has fake memories, then who else could possibly have fake memories and be a replicant?
I mean, theoretically, it could be anybody, right?
It could be, yeah. You would never know. I suppose you could argue in a way that it's almost too on the nose that the one main character we have like ends up being a replicant, because that's kind of the way it goes. But
do you think he's a replicant? Because in the final cut, it's not really answered.
It's heavily implied. The whole point is with the unicorn dream, is that. The reason why Gaff knows, because he leaves my unicorn at the end, right? That's him saying,
right, like I'm going to be hunting you, and this is your sign that you're a replicant too. But it's still kind of ambiguous.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I mean, none of the cuts are like, "Hey, he's definitely a replicant." Ding, 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 ding. Like none of them are like that.
And this rolls over into the sequel quite a bit, where it's like, we're going to see him again? Are we going to address this? And I think that movie really smartly handles that question.
Well, it very intentionally didn't know, because it was always like, there's always been two camps of people who are like, he's definitely a replicant or he's definitely not. So
I wasn't going to say whether or not what they say, but like I think they smartly handle it. I don't think that they give an answer in a way, but I think that is a very cool way to do it. And I think this I mean, I know I've seen the Ridley Scott saying like, oh yeah, he's a replicant, but I think this movie still ends in a way where you can come to that conclusion if you want to, and if you want to argue that he's not, you can do that as well. Like I think there's enough there to make it ambiguous.
This was one of the main debates me and Connor had actually when we talked about it, is what each outcome does for the movie. Because if he's not a replicant, if he's a human being, then his arc is that he has learned to accept replicants as his life, because by the end he feels guilty and he's come to see them as living beings, and that's his arc. And for that, him being human is important, because if he's a replicant, then that doesn't necessarily have the same kind of thing. But if he's a replicant, and this is a realization of who he is, and that he has been used and his memories are fake. And I mean, because I do kind of like the idea that when we first see him at the start of the movie, Like he's barely old. Like when they bring him in and say, "Hey, you're we need you back. We need the old Blade Runner." That he's not the old Blade Runner. He's literally just been turned on because the other Blade Runner got killed. Like there's like a fun idea there where it's like, no, he has actually just got this personality, and it kind of explains why he's kind of a dull prick.
Why he and Rachel have the same personality.
Yes,
in a way.
Yes, in a manner of speaking. It like. So I think that there's merit to both. I think the reason why I would maybe like that he is a replicant is because the whole thing is that everyone dies, and the only thing different about a replicant is that you kind of have a rough idea of when. But this idea of you just have to hope that you're going to outlive it, you're just going to have to hope that you have a good life with the time you have. Like there's kind of a kind of hopeful like acceptance to it at the end. That nod he gives as he scrunches we've skipped ahead to the ending here because you Tati sent us down this path, but he scrunches
the one who brought it up.
He scrunches the unicorn, and there's this sort of nodding look of understanding where he accepts like what this means as he runs off to be with Rachel, even though I don't buy that relationship at all. I don't care about them being together or being happy.
Yeah, it's unusual and unhealthy relationship, but it doesn't mean that there aren't relationships like this.
Oh, sure.
So if you want me to like him, it makes a hard case.
Yes, because she comes over to his multiple times. The first time is just when he kind of like proves that she's a replicant, and that upsets her dearly. And
yeah, she brings a bunch of photo evidence to be like, look, I had a childhood, and then that's where he gets the photographs from too.
Yeah, and she comes back later, and this is after he's invited her for a drink, and she says no, but she ends up. It's after she saved him. Because she saves him from Leon, because he gets attacked because Leon's girlfriend, Snake Lady, gets put down by him, and again, like his entire investigation is like he looks at this photo. He has a bit of a snake skin, gets the snake skin analysed, goes to talk to some dude at a bar, which is just a completely forgettable scene, explaining where the snake person might be, and then he goes to see the woman at the snake club, or the club, and her whole thing, she's got a snake, and like that's it, he's found her, and he chases her and shoots her. Like that's the whole thing, and all of it's as riveting as I described it.
Yeah, I mean, we get some boobs, and then she runs away in barely an outfit. Like
it's a transparent jacket.
She puts on stripper boots, looks like a leather underpants and matching bra.
I would call that a
transparent coat.
I would call that. I don't know. I wouldn't call it a bra. It looks more like a
halter.
Like I don't know, a cage, a cage for the boobs.
Yeah, it looks medieval.
It looks like the most impractical thing ever. It looks like it'd be falling off every 2 seconds.
Right, but I mean, she's in this outfit. She's basically nude, and
yes.
We watch Deckard gun her down while she's running away from behind and shattering through glass. Like we watch him murder a woman, and then we get the love scene right after.
It's completely inhumane. It's a very cold thing, which I get goes with his character arc. Is that the whole point is that after this he has to drink. He's not necessarily proud of what he does.
Yeah, he goes and gets some alcohol, and he seems to be shook up by it.
Yeah, and that's when Leon shows up and tries to kill him, and it's Rachel who saves him because she's been kind of watching the crime scene as well, and that's when they go back to his place. And
she does this amazing magic trick where she has this perfect hair that's like straight and smooth, and it goes from that to being curly and 80s and big. Like, how did she do that? That's like her relaxed hair. That's the future, man.
I have no idea, but he gets up, they kiss, she tries to leave, and he slams the door shut, stands between her and the door, pushes her up against the other wall, and keeps
Pushes
kissing
her
her.
into something that breaks. Like,
Mm.
he's violent.
It's a very aggressive love scene, shall we say.
He says, like, repeat after me. Like, basically, I need you to say this so that it sounds like it's consensual in a way.
Mm.
It's I guess I can kind of buy it, like, because he just murdered a woman or someone that maybe he's seen as a person, because the optics of it is really bad. Like, he just shot a woman who's naked in the back while running away. And now he goes to a woman and he demands, like, love from her. So, I mean, I guess it's kind of like he's ordering her. He's talking down to her. So he's trying to, like, to be cold again. But I mean, he loves her. It's just, it seems it's very unhealthy and it's kind of gross to watch. It doesn't it doesn't make me want to root for him or this love story.
Not to mention the fact that they fall in love after like 2 brief meetings or 3 meetings. Like I don't know.
Well, she's very young. Like, she doesn't know what love is yet.
Yeah, but he says he's in love as well. I don't know. It's like you've barely spoken to each other. This is, I don't know. It's one of those things. It's an old movie trope that I thought was mostly done by the 80s, but this is clearly.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they don't really have much of a journey together or anything.
Well,
It's all based on
she doesn't do
looks.
anything. After this love scene, she just waits around in his apartment as he goes and does the rest of the movie. Like, she has nothing to do. She has no agency and no plot in the third act of the movie.
Yeah, I guess. I like her look. Bewitching is the word that I would use.
I like her hair.
I like it. I mean, I don't like it on me, but, like, I like her look.
Mm.
I like the big 80s shoulders that go on forever, or like the big canvas thing. Like, she looks like she belongs in that world, but that she's so high class in that world. I like it.
Yeah.
She's
So
a good contrast to what we see, normally with, like, the transparent coat and, I don't know, dominatrix bra set.
what a combo.
Yeah.
What a combo. No, this is the weird thing about the movie is that after Roy goes to talk to Tyrell, and we get this, creator and creation conversation, we have basically, because this is the thing, he Deckard hunted down Snake Lady. Leon came to him and immediately was taken care of, and then, like, he gets a call saying, "Hey, like, Tyrell's been murdered, and there was this other murdered worker, this Sebastian dude. Check his apartment." And that's actually okay. This is the end of the movie now. We're going off to Sebastian's apartment where he finds Pris and fights her. First of all, and don't get me wrong, this all looks great. See when he's going up in this building and it's all these light shafts coming in from outside, and it's like there's water dripping, and the atmosphere during this section of the film is absolutely phenomenal. But we're already at the end. Like, there's actually very little plot when you really stop and really look at the movie. And he kills
Not
Pris.
according to the time.
And then you have Roy and you have him, and the fight is quite good. When Roy's sticking his head through the bathroom wall, and, like, it feels like
Pretty comical.
Deckard is screwed.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know. It's a rough time, and it's a rough time because I wish I cared more. Don't get me wrong. Rutger Hauer's speech that he gives, this monologue that he gives about how it's time to die and tears in the rain, all that stuff. That speech is phenomenal, and the delivery of it's phenomenal. And I wish the movie lived up to that speech, because it doesn't.
Doesn't belong in the movie. I don't think so.
Because what he's saying is beautiful. What he's saying is that I've had a life, and just because you don't classify it as a life.
About, like, the loss. I mean, it could be applied to anything, and it's kind of nice to see him give this speech as a replicant, because you can apply it to all of us, all of humans, assuming that we're not replicants. Da da da. But like, that is the thing with death, is that we cherish memory, and that is something that is lost forever.
That's
Like Tears
interesting.
of the
I was wondering where I'd seen Tyrell from recently. He was in The Shining,
Oh
which
yeah, I know
which
where he is.
which I just did with Tim. So I
The
was like,
Shining. Oh, did you already say it?
I already said it, yeah.
I was going to ask you if you knew it was him, because when I looked up him he's in Passive Glory, and when I looked him up, I was like, oh, that's the same guy as The Shining and who plays Tyrell. Like, I had no
Yeah.
idea. I didn't make the connection because he's wearing these big like Coke bottle glasses.
Man, he must have been really young in the Pass of Glory because that's like 30 years before this.
Yeah, he's the one who gets uh, knocked out and has to be on like a gurney. I
Hmm.
won't say too much because I don't want to spoil it. It's a
Yeah, that's
great
fair.
movie. You guys should all watch it.
It's Stanley
Yeah.
Kubrick. Yes, go watch the Stanley Kubrick movie. Good life advice for everyone. So,
Watch his Kubrick film
yeah.
and
Yes.
then pet a dog.
So Roy dies, and the dove. I mean, not the
Yeah, it
dove.
all of a sudden becomes a John Woo movie.
Yeah, the bird flies away, and I like there's a lot of like intricacies here to like really consider here. Like the character of Gaff, Gaff like sort of giving him a head start and saying, "Too bad she won't live," but then again, who does? Like that part of it's kind of interesting. Like why does he want to give him a chance? Like does he see replicants as alive and he doesn't want them to just die?
I mean, did he always know that Deckard was a replicant? Since I mean, maybe Gaff is human and he knows that this guy was just brought in to with all these fake memories to
I,
hunt down replicants.
I would think so. I would think that he knows, and it's an act of kindness that he tells Deckard at the end, kind of thing,
Right.
or he gives him a hint at least. I don't know. Maybe the idea is that like all these violent replicants from off-world who come and like cause trouble, like because they are all enslaved, they're always angry, they're always very aggressive or whatever. Maybe the idea is here is that him and Rachel, because they have these fake memories, because they've been conditioned to a certain way of life, they're not inclined to just go on a murdering rampage.
Yeah. And we
Uh,
know I don't want to say too much about the sequel, but
sure.
I mean there's stuff in the sequel that implies that he's not a replicant too, just
Yeah.
because he's there. He lives beyond 4 years, unless
Yeah.
he's like an older model or something that didn't have the 4-year timeline. I don't know. So we'll see.
Oh, to be fair, they never specify the 4-year timeline. Like, how is that every replicant? Is it just these types of replicant that are on this type
Just
of?
the Nexus 6,
You know.
which by the way was the same phone I had. I guess that was a nod to Blade Runner. I had a
Yeah.
phone that was the Nexus 6 from
Oh, well,
Huawei.
no, I don't even just mean like the
Turns out
Nexus.
China was listening to me the whole time.
I don't even just mean like the Nexus 6 though. I mean more like because he's like a cop replicant. Like does he last longer? Because he's designed for
Maybe.
Earth use, or like
Well, you think he'd just be designed for the one job, though. And after that, they wouldn't want to risk him finding out.
Maybe I don't know. I mean, we don't hear enough about the different types of like if they have lots of sleeper replicants who don't know they're replicants. Like we have no idea what the rules are that are different for them compared to anyone else. Because I think the other scene that maybe plays well if you think he is a replicant is the scene where he meets Tyrell at the start and he's introduced to Rachel. The way that Tyrell's fascinated about the test and talking to him and like if he knows he's a replicant, the way he's asking all these questions and saying, "How about you try it on her?" and like all these things, that almost feels like he knows if he does know indeed, like
Well, I mean, he would, because he would have to come from that factory.
Yeah, but it adds maybe a bit of subtext there too, because Tyrell has a really kind of weird attitude towards everything. So he's fascinated, and there is
I
one.
love the scenes with him though, because I love his big room. It's so beautiful, like all those scenes.
Yeah, no, he's not bad.
I love the contrast between that. Everything's so like bright and clear, clean looking, and then you get like the scum down at the bottom. It just looks everything's wet and raining all the time.
He's not bad. He by contrast to the awful Jared Leto in the second one, he actually serves a purpose in this movie. If anything, there should have been more. I mean, not necessarily more time spent on him. I actually don't think we need to see any more of him, but I think there should have been more time spent on Roy getting to him. Like, that should have been more of a.
I would have liked more of Roy.
Yeah.
And I like the other henchman or the other replicant, the other guy that we get in the beginning.
Leon.
Just because he's got like a lot of character to him. I liked him a lot.
Yeah, Leon.
Yeah, Leon.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an actor who pops up occasionally. He's in the House 3, the horror show. Is the first thing I could think of. He's also in The Fifth Element.
That I know him from. Oh, Fifth Element. Yeah, he's definitely in Fifth Element.
He's like
I think he died pretty young too, right?
He died at age 54 in 1999. Yeah. Yeah, he was in The Fifth Element. He was like the guy who basically he was on like comms. He told the president everything. He kept kind of.
Yeah, he was the guy in contact with Gary Oldman.
Yes. Kind of, yes. But yeah, he's in a bunch of stuff. Over the years, very distinct voice, very distinct face. So he always stuck out.
Good face.
Whenever he did pop up, yeah. So yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame he passed away so young.
Yeah.
But
that's been right after Fifth Element.
Fifth Element was 97, so yeah, 2 years later.
A shame.
Yeah, sucks.
And of course, we lost Rutger Hauer just a couple months ago.
I know. So some of these, like, I feel like maybe it's just because we're getting older now, so all of the people we grew up watching are at that age now where they're more likely to die. But it does feel like in the last 5-10 years, like there's just been more and more of famous people who I care about who seem to be dying.
Yeah. Well, that one year was pretty rough. Was it 2017? That was just one. It seemed almost daily.
Was that the year that Bill Paxton and John
Carrie
Hart
Fisher
both went back to back?
Yeah. Carrie Fisher and then Debbie Reynolds, like 2 days later, died of a broken heart. Oh my God, it's so sad. Hey, stop trying to destroy things.
Tara's cat, as always, infecting the recording and the show.
We should probably wrap it up. He's getting a little anxious.
A little anxious, eh? I mean, we're getting there. This movie is so frustrating to me. It's one of the most frustrating movies I have ever watched because I want to love it. There's so many things about it that I do love, and so many things that should mean that I would love the whole thing like, as a package. It should work, but the script and the characters and the actual progression of what the investigation is, the hunting of the replicants, is so goddamn sleep-inducing that.
Did Connor like it when you guys reviewed? Do you remember?
Nah, he was.
No, okay. So this is kind of been a repeat episode. Sorry, guys.
Kind of.
Hopefully, that's new people.
I think it's interesting though. I feel like there is a lot of people who are on the side that do think it's a really dull movie. I think Tim kind of.
You don't want to call it
that
because the world is so interesting and beautiful, but like, I'm sorry, like it's just not enough.
No, it's not. You need like better script. You just do. It's such a shame.
Yeah.
There's lots of design choices that I like. I mean, that's just going back to the look of the world, I guess. But I like that Sebastian's place has all these toys that he makes. It's got a really distinct feeling to it. And
do you think they're all used for naughty stuff?
I mean, he's a lonely-looking guy. Let's to be honest. He literally says, "I make friends. I make my friends." I mean,
he comes off a little pervy. And the toys kind of have a perviness to them also. A little bit.
Sure. Well, yeah, what we weren't seeing is that every single one of them had a fleshlight sort of attachment.
I was a little disturbed by that little guy's nose.
Oh dear. This one's frustrating. Yeah, we can rate it. What do you want to?
Yeah, it's not an easy one for me to rate because it is a classic that I think science fiction fans should watch because it has a lot in it that, it is like the one of the quintessential cyberpunk films, and it has a look that's amazing. And you should probably watch it just to see what side you're on. But I
Hmm.
also expect to be disappointed. The best thing about the movie is that it gave us a truly great sequel, I think. I'm looking forward to reviewing that one again because that was
Look at you
uh, a,
spoiling
a surprise.
your Blade Runner
Oh,
2049 thoughts.
whatever. I love this movie. I love that movie, I should say.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think I've brought it up before that I greatly enjoy that film. But I it's hard one to rate because I kind of want to recommend it just so people can see it, like it, but it might just be like a waste of time. So I'm gonna give it a 4.5, which is
Whoa!
disappointing, I know, but it's not an easy watch,
You
and it
went
should
for
be.
the jugular with that score.
I know.
Whoa!
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm going with a 6. I think the visuals, the set designs, the music, all of the technical stuff, which admittedly does not necessarily make for a complete whole package that's worth watching, but I think all that stuff at least gets me up to a 6. Um, but it should be like at least a 9. If the storytelling matched those
I mean,
visuals,
I feel bad giving it that rating though. Like, I do. I just, if I'm gonna put it on, like, am I overall positive over the 50% or below it? Like, it's just not enough. Watch the sequel.
what's interesting is that I don't remember what I gave it last time I talked about it with Connor, so I have no idea if that's the same score I gave or if I've went down or up.
I mean, I'm only off by like a 1.5 points.
I don't know, 4.5 to a 6 seems like a big leap.
Yeah, well, I've watched this movie a few times, and every time I'm just like, okay, it's going to be good this time. It just isn't.
Enhance.
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 Over 4, then down 3.
Script enhance. Like I'm sort of I'm more down on it than you are, I think, uh in other basic elements too. Like I don't really care about for the score. Like maybe it's good, but it doesn't really. I don't think it fits the scenes that it's depicting. And uh, the only positive thing about the world is it's worth watching for the world alone. I feel bad about giving it the score, but sorry, I'm sticking with it.
Brutal. Absolutely
I know.
brutal. All right, well, there you go. Next time, we already mentioned it earlier, but we'll just remind you here that next time we're doing Alphaville, the Jean-Luc Godard film. So look forward to that. And the time after that is the Patreon vote winner that's up next, which I won't say what it is yet, but we'll see it next time.
Did we say what it was in Alphaville?
We did, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we knew it'd be coming up after that. So that's that. And there will be a Mystery Science Theater returning sometime in the near future. There was one Meet the Robinsons. We'll have another one soonish.
Hmm.
So you can look forward to that.
We actually did watch Mystery Science Theater, but
We did on
it
stream.
was on a live stream. I don't know if we're going to review that one.
I mean, if we were going to do it, we'd do it with this one, right?
Nah.
So yeah, well, there you go. Then it's not happening. But we did watch one on live stream. Well, I watched one on live stream. Tara just happened to be in the chat during the live stream. We did parts the Clonus.
The Clonus Horror.
The Clonus Horror. Yes, that was the one. So you can find that live stream if you wish to just see my live reactions to it if you want. But that is something we'll come back to soon. Do look out, patrons, for the bonus episode for the month. Maybe, yeah. No, it won't be up by the time this goes up on Patreon, but Shouldn't hopefully be too much time after. We'll get to recording that soon, so should be good fun. I'm excited. Based on the movie's reputation. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm just excited. But that has been Blade Runner.
I don't know what to think.
That has been Blade Runner. You can let us know what you think of the movie in the comments below. You can like and you can subscribe. And you can ding the bell. Make sure you get notifications on YouTube. And Tara mentioned Patreon earlier, so make sure you go over and have a look. And you get bonus stuff. You get producer credits. And speaking of, I will thank the producers that we have right now, which is Cindy Palacios, Alison M. Fortis, David Short, Talking Superman, and Tyler Hess. So thank you to them for being producers. So that has been episode 30 something. I don't know what number this is. We record them out of order this time as well, so it's impossible to keep track. I won't know until I've published it, and then it's like, okay, that's what number it is now. But that has been the Atomic Cinema Experiment for Blade Runner in November of 2019. Without flying cars, you bastards. So, by all means...
Get on it, Musk.
Thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching science fiction, guys. And computer, enhance.
Yum, yum.